पिछले 8 बरस में हमारे मुल्क ने बहुत कुछ किया, बहुत कुछ हमने बुनियादें डाली अपने मुल्क के आइंदा।
It is a voice we have often heard, a voice that captures the thoughts and moods of a whole people, the voice of Jawaharlal Nehru. It is the voice of a man that has found an echo in the hearts of the Indian people, a voice ever guiding and inspiring them to newer and greater heights of progress and enlightenment, towards a new India that is now in the making. And upon him, the Indian people have bestowed their love and affection. He is a familiar figure, not only in India, but far beyond the borders of our own country. He is welcomed and acclaimed as a symbol of India, the India of the past and the present, of the old and the new. For in a world torn by suspicion and strife, he has given a new meaning and dimension to human and international relationship. These years of freedom have seen many changes. The dreams of centuries are no longer dreams, for Jawaharlal Nehru, with the courage and faith of his people, has translated them into reality. Many million people have at last found the strength to unlock the doors to nature's unlimited bounty. A vast and ancient land is being transformed with new spirit and energy into a modern nation capable of meeting any challenge. And amidst all this, he is always among his people, from one corner of the land to the other, never tired, never weary, ever guiding and inspiring, leading his people so that their lives may be enriched now and in the time to come. Not only does he inspire India's millions by his words, but on every occasion he sets an example by his own conduct, infusing his people with the idea that a nation is made strong and steadfast not merely by machines, but by willing hands and happy hearts. He must face the problems of the people, problems which are in fact his problems and those of his government. And knowing this, the people take him to their hearts, not only as the leader of the nation, but as a true and sincere friend and benefactor. In times of distress, be it flood or earthquake, he is there to help and console. He suffers with them, as one human being would with another. And from the highest in the land to the humblest, there is deep and abiding affection for him. For everyone knows what his lifetime of service and selfless dedication has meant to them. And yet, with all the manifold tasks and responsibilities, there is a simplicity in his own way of life. He is at work from an early hour in his study at home. Then comes breakfast with family. Indira, his daughter, and grandsons Rajiv and Sanjay. India's Prime Minister begins his day with a smile, and often the world smiles back at him. Time permitting, Grandpa takes a stroll in the garden. It's not every day that he can relax, but when he does, he brings to life the picture of a happy family, just like happy families everywhere in the world. These are Himalayan pandas, the Prime Minister's favorite pets. Every morning he feeds them with his own hands, and if he didn't do it, they would most probably go on strike. He loves animals, all kinds of animals. No time for a ride. Perhaps tomorrow. As for you, you're always wanting to play. It is time for Mr. Nehru to be at the External Affairs Ministry. But he's not yet free. In the lawns of his garden, a group of farmers from far-off Bihar have come to seek his advice. And he gives it to them as only he can. Time to leave, and still more visitors. But he must get away now. And get away he does. For India's Prime Minister is a man of precision. A short drive from his residence, and he arrives at the Ministry of External Affairs, which is housed in a section of the Central Secretariat. He seldom uses the lift, prefers climbing the steps. From the earliest days of his political life, Mr. Nehru has been a keen student of foreign affairs. And when he was chosen to head the government of Free India, he combined his new duties with those of Foreign Minister. From here, he has forged a dynamic, independent foreign policy, which has sought to resolve outstanding international problems through peaceful methods.
Yes, but the greatest difficulty facing the Commonwealth.
Thinking of war.
Yes.
And preparing for war.
So
If one wants peace, one must think of peace and prepare for peace instead of thinking constantly of war and preparing for it.
Over the years, Delhi has become the venue of important meetings between India's Prime Minister and the statesmen of various countries. These meetings and discussions have helped to resolve differences between nations and have contributed to the strivings for peaceful cooperation. In their exchange of views, leaders from all parts of the world find a ready welcome waiting them when they set foot on Indian soil. They clasp the hand of India's Prime Minister, who to them is a living symbol of India's age-old culture and philosophy, and in whom they find a healthy kinship and understanding of mutual problems. Increasingly, India has taken decisive steps to halt the drift towards war, always relying on deep and widespread desire for peace among the peoples of the world. For his unique services to the cause of world peace, Jawaharlal Nehru received a grateful nation's highest award, the Bharat Ratna. This moved him deeply.
जिनके साथ जमाने से काम कर रहे हैं मिलकर इस पुराने जमाने को सोचकर जब आप हम और हजारों लाखों लोग इस मुल्क के साथ मिलकर हमने काम किया, कभी ऊंचा देखा कभी नीचा, कामयाबी हासिल की, कठिनाइयां फिर भी सामने रही, तो सिर्फ एक ही दिल में ख्वाहिश कि जहां तक ताकत है इस काम को करते जाएं।
International peace is vital to India's progress at home. 11 o'clock and Mr. Nehru goes to attend Parliament. As Prime Minister and Leader of the House, he must be present at every session. Parliament is the supreme legislature in the country. Here are decided matters of far-reaching importance, matters which will influence the life of generations yet unborn. At least once a week or oftener, the Central Cabinet meets. Union ministers arrive to discuss national and international problems. They are responsible for the work of their ministries, and in the cabinet they coordinate each policy with the activity of the government as a whole. All decisions are jointly taken. As Prime Minister, it is Mr. Nehru's responsibility to coordinate the activities of all ministries and government departments. The 5-year plans are India's blueprints for progress. Mr. Nehru is the chairman of the Planning Commission. The first plan has been fulfilled and the second has been launched. It will lay the foundations of an industrial economy capable of meeting our rapidly growing needs. Assisting the Planning Commission is the National Development Council, over which also the Prime Minister presides. On this council are represented the interests of the states of the Indian Union, and elected governments make known their views on planning policies. Frequently, Mr. Nehru meets the President, who is the head of the state. The decisions and activities of the government are discussed, policies which are helping to mold a united nation, strong and resolute. And as Mr. Nehru has always stressed, the kernel of unity is secularity. He himself is the embodiment of this spirit. India is a land of many peoples and religions. In our country, more faiths coexist in friendship and harmony than in any other part of the world. And wherever he may be, Mr. Nehru is loved and welcomed by all the communities which make the great family that is India. They are like the branches of a great banyan tree, spreading in many directions, but with their roots embedded deeply in the same soil. Mr. Nehru's interest in art and culture is a dynamic note of his crowded life. It was he who urged the setting up of academies of art and literature, and his interest in these has never flagged. The rich legacy of knowledge in our books and ancient manuscripts finds special place in his interests. And when the poets of India gather to recite their verse, Jawaharlal Nehru is there to listen to them, to their thought that gives new beauty to words. Equally important is the Academy of Dance, Drama and Music, which to him means the expression of a rich cultural tradition. But above all is his interest in science and technology, for he realizes that India has begun her journey in the decisive age of atomic energy, an age in which these modern miracles will play a decisive part. When he finds time, he gets away from the cares of state, and these are refreshing moments, for now he is indeed a free man. He can relax and play at will, indulging in his favorite sports. There is no limit to his zest for happy adventure and new enterprise. Festival time is another opportunity to be what perhaps he has always wanted to be, happy and carefree. And in such moments, the years spin back to his boyhood, when prank and fun were often the order of the day. He has not only spread the spirit of democracy, but has also imbibed this spirit himself. It is a spirit he has carried to other lands, and it is always infectious. age has never dulled his sense of fun. In fact, he carries his 67 years lightly when in the company of children. They've christened him Uncle, and he is uncle to them whether at home or abroad. He has often said that we work to build the world of tomorrow for the children of today. It's quite an occasion for Rajiv and Sanjay when Grandpa gets home before their bedtime. And the story hour is always fascinating, for he invariably has so many new and interesting things to tell them about the wonderful world in which we live. But for Grandpa, these are fleeting moments in a hectic life, a life not really his own. It has always been so, even when he himself was a young graduate. Politics and public affairs consumed all his time and energy. Those were tense, troubled days, when the movement for freedom was growing, breaking the shackles that bound our people. He was in jail and out. The only compensation was that he found time to write. These books are a permanent record of a great humanist who learnt from the thought and practice of all ages. Books and people. Kamla, who is no more. His dynamic father, Motilal. Gurudev Tagore. The genius Einstein. Bernard Shaw. Abraham Lincoln. And Bapu. Gentle Bapu, who helped him to understand his land and people. Gave him the faith which sustains him in one of the world's most difficult assignments, that of India's Prime Minister. Even at night, there is no respite. His day is not yet over. He believes that good government demands speedy decisions, and speedy decisions mean that all matters must be attended to without delay. Mr. Nehru achieves, in fact, what he expects others to do. Secretaries assist him as he dictates replies to letters, petitions, memorandums, both official and unofficial. This work requires several uninterrupted hours, and night is the only time the Prime Minister can call his own. His personal secretary and his staff work side by side. This end to a crowded day in the Prime Minister's life serves to underline what he has always said. India must rapidly make up the leeway of centuries, and to do so, she must work as never before. He himself works with tireless energy, never sparing himself, always setting an example. It is well past the midnight hour. It is time for Jawaharlal Nehru to get a few hours' sleep. The lights in... But within 6 hours, the Prime Minister is back at his desk to begin another day in India's journey into the future. A future whose foundations he has helped to build.